I'd
Yeah,
rather I'd rather get hacked now and lose everything and rebuild than die and leave my kids with nothing because of my own hubris. Ladies and gentlemen, Quamrats, welcome to episode 11 of the Quamfy show. Today we have a very full program. About a week and a half ago, Quant, Bank of England, and the Bank for International Settlements working on Project Rosalind was actually confirmed from the mouth of Mr. I hope I say this right, Mullen. Is it Mullen?
Yeah, I think so, Christopher Mullen.
Yeah, CBDC director of the Bank of England. Confirmed at least Quant's involvement on some level. We're going to have a look at this. And also, Project Meridian is also an interesting thing that the BIS, so that's the Bank for International Settlements, is involved in. Hungarian made a threat. Going to look at that. Ledger dropped a bomb today, and a lot of people are on the fence about this. It's about sharing your secret phrase with them. It's really interesting. And good news for regulation. MiCAR, I think they rebranded it, renamed it. So that's the European crypto regulation. The bill passed and it is approved, and implementation could start as early as July, which is really cool and good news for all the people that are here for the regulated investments. So a lot to talk about. Interesting times, I think. A lot of confirmation stuff coming up with Quant. I am excited and bullish as hell, even though markets are still struggling. We're getting to price in the middle of the show, give or take. You can check the timestamps if you want to jump to any of the topics that we just named. As always, we will provide the sources that we use and have available to us. And Tim, we're back in English, brother. How's life?
We're back in English, for sure. Well, everything's pretty dull, not in my personal life. Things are, well, just going full steam ahead, but just looking at crypto at the moment, all the news we get from Quant and all the stuff that we are discussing on Telegram, it's kind of boring. And sometimes when we have these moments of excitement, Jarno and I tend to notice that we are sharing old news that happened to us. At least last week, we were both sharing something. We're like, yeah, look at this, guys. And then people told us that we were looking at old stuff. So that's kind of how I feel.
Everything over 6 months in crypto is old.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I'm lacking behind on the FA wise. My personal life is great. Everything is just going as planned. But with crypto, I feel like I'm kind of out of the loop, even though I'm not really. The thing is, we just, I feel like, I don't know how you are feeling about that, and we'll be discussing that in this episode, but I feel like the discussions are getting more and more complex. So we kind of have all the highlights right now, and we can, well, more and more safely assume that we backed certain entities, but the discussions surrounding them are getting so complex that I'm just, it's like mastering a game, you know. After that point of having completed it for 80%, those other achievements, you're not going to do it anymore. So that's kind of how I feel. But that's kind of bad because, well, I'm doing this podcast and I should be on top of everything. But I just feel out of the loop many times. Well, I'm not necessarily, but it feels like it. If it makes any sense. So that's kind of how I feel. Yeah.
Now we spoke about this while we were preparing, and I mean, the Bank of England actually confirmed that Quant is working with them, at least at some level. So obviously still skeptics that Gilbert and friends just poured coffee there, which is still mind-boggling to me. But many of us, I know Tim and I did, we already decided, right, that the Bank of England is given, and that the Bank of International Settlements is given, and the Federal Reserve is given. At a certain level, right? I mean, there's enough research. How do they call that in all those crime shows? Circumstantial evidence that points in that direction. And what happens now, and that's what Tim means, is that we know, and all the extra juice and all the extra little bits of the puzzle does not make it more confirmed. So that at a certain level makes it hard to stay interested, for lack of a better word. I kind of feel that too, in a way, but I am truly enjoying Council the last couple of weeks. I'm not just accepting new messages and just scrolling through to the bottom anymore, actually trying to read what is being shared. And it's not even a rabbit hole anymore. I mean, it's a proper crater by now. There are so many entities that are starting to speak the same language, right? The Gilbertisms and all the references can be found in the Quant main chat, also link in description. So there's more and more FA that was always proven in a circumstantial way. That is now either by association or just by actual confirmation, getting more and more confirmed. And I think that is really cool. What is also cool is that the scope just keeps getting bigger, right? And in a way, it seems like everything is getting narrower, because the focus right now is on CBDCs and regulation, right? All eyes on that. But there's so much more that is possible because of all this, right? Because if the governments and the central banks are like, okay, shit, we need this CBDC thing to work, and for that we need the interoperability, and for that we need the technology, and for that we need the private sector. Because of that, regulation goes into overdrive, or at least the screams for regulation. And what's interesting then is Chamber of Commerce, maybe should look at that as well, in the United States actually backed up Coinbase and took a swing at the SEC, saying that they're purposefully stalling and actually that all the chaos about regulation is not a byproduct, but is by design. So they implicitly said that the SEC is literally just creating chaos to grasp for inches of control of the monetary system, which is crazy because the Chamber of Commerce is arguably bigger than the SEC, and they too are now like firing shots at the SEC, same as the Senator McHenry, I think it was a senator, who also chewed up, spat out good old Gary Gensler. The US is truly feeling it, and especially now that MiCAR got passed. Again, link in the description if you want to jump ahead. Implications of this combination about what Gilbert's been saying since 2018, same as we've solved interoperability since 2018, and there were already at least 5 central banks in 2018, 2019. And it is all getting confirmed. And by proxy, there are more and more other banks and entities that we also suspected, and they are also now, they say, clearer to be on the table. And I think that's exciting. I think Council is doing a great job. I think there's a lot of people, more and more people active, trying to explain everything in layman terms. So man, I'm super excited and bullish, and I'm more on Telegram than I would like to admit right now.
Yeah, that's great. I think you made several points there, and then you went pretty fast, and you went into the example of the Chamber of Commerce. Let me just get back to my first point that you made. I think because while I was saying that I feel out of the loop, but I think that is also mainly because, well, if you've been listening to the show, you will know that I'm not that interested in CBDCs. Honestly, to put it blunt, I can't really be arsed. It's a thing that will happen. And hearing the same stuff over and over and over again for more than a year and a half, it starts to get boring. And I feel like the scope indeed, well, I've been saying this for a long time, is mainly focused on that aspect. And that is very logical because, well, that is where the money is, literally, and where all the interest is. But yeah, I mean, the implications of that development will obviously also move towards the other fields that we are addressing. So ultimately, it will get more exciting again. And then there was this other point that you were making. Oh dear, you said so much. I just feel like everything is just indeed being put into place. And well, in the beginning, well, not in the beginning, but like past couple of years, especially when we joined a couple of years ago, the people, at least the entities speaking about it, were the entities that we wanted to hear, right? So the crypto companies or crypto projects. And sure, there were some, mainly these consultancy firms, which were also kind of addressing it, right? Speaking about interoperability and all the other Gilbertisms. But at this point, you literally see it translating towards all the other players on the field. So it's not only on the tech side anymore, it actually becomes a policy issue. Yeah. And that is really, really interesting that we kind of moved from, okay, we have this technical concept to something that is actually on a policy table, because once it's on the policy table, it will move into politics. And then it will move into actual policy that is implemented, and that will require a huge demand, well, for technology we already have, but that will be self-affirming for Quant. So you see this movement, and I think that is the most important thing, and that's the thing I'm most interested about. So, for example, what you said with MiCAR, we'll go deeper into it this show. That is something I'm looking at with great interest, and just all the other things which are happening right now. And you see these Gilbertisms all over the place. I think that's the main development that I'm really interested in. Anyway,
jumping briefly on your comment, right, on all eyes on CBDCs, and it's getting a little bit dull. I find the silence around Oracle deafening. Right? Yeah, there was a lot of news. 2022, Oracle Cloud and OCI. Your screen is shaking. Okay,
it's because I'm excited. No.
Yeah. Oracle blockchain and cloud infrastructure, right? That was the 2022 thing. CBDC is bubbling in the background, but the Oracle thing is a fact, right? They integrated it, but there is silence now. And why that's interesting to me is that means that it's done in a way. And that means that all focus right now is on something else. And why is that interesting? Because they did the same, I feel, in 2020. They were working with gateways. They were trying to get the gateways up. And then the Oracle thing came, right? And that's their, for sure. How do you say, the agile methodology. And they were like, okay, gateways, nice, important, essential. But this is more important. So take the gateways, throw them in the fridge, balls to the wall on Oracle, make this cloud shit work, right? And Gilbert has messages from 2018, 2019 saying that we're going cloud first, then multi-cloud, and then we're going to the decentralization, etc. So when that card came up, it was okay, pivot, and we're going to focus on this. Then they sorted all of that. Now MiCAR is up. MiCAR. CBDCs are becoming more and more tangible.
Yeah.
Still waiting Latin American CBDC. So all focus is there, and not on Oracle anymore. And I think that's a beautiful thing. A hyper focus. Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree. I think we indeed talked about the lean and agile methodology, and that is definitely how the how the company is being run. Perhaps even the country, because what Overledger. No, but that is indeed how they run the company, and I also feel like now you're bringing up Oracle, but we could say the same for Nexi and SIA. And perhaps it's because, well, we as audience and we as community, Telegram community mostly.
Crypto schnitzels.
Crypto schnitzels in Dutch, yeah. We obviously focus on the things we want to see. And, well, in the case of Nexi and SIA, that was our biggest news back then. And now that's settled, right? So there's no need for talking about stuff which has been settled already. There is no need for Andrew and his team to market things which have already been achieved. And I feel like Oracle has been backed at this point. It's clear there is no need to market that any further. Sure, it's nice when Oracle gives them further affirmation of, hey, we're working together, and, well, you can use Overledger through or cloud infrastructure. But yeah, that is the past, right? So it's integrated, it's working, it's functional, just like Nexi is functional.
Unlike the crypto scams that continuously need new buzz to make sure that the volumes and other shit.
Yeah, sure. But I think the main thing they are focusing on right now, especially with publicity and their entire marketing strategy, obviously are CBDCs. And why is that? Because we are moving into the stage where, well, CBDCs are not longer. It's kind of the same thing, right? So we know that they are technically, well, we are nearing the end of the technical phase there, right? So, well, we have the technology, but now we need to turn it into policy and get the decision making go. And then you want to push that narrative for the company. So that is where they kind of put all their energy. That's also their lean and agile methodology again. Yeah, but it's kind of, for me personally, it's kind of a boring stage, but that's fine because there is so much happening.
And boring is good, man.
Yeah, and that is indeed true. Also accumulating QNT, no financial advice. Again. But yeah, it makes sense. If you just zoom out and look at it from like this macro perspective, it all just makes so much sense. But I'm preaching in front of my own audience, so that's no need for that.
I have a screen to share. This is about my thing about the U.S. Chamber of Commerce slams SEC, backs Coinbase in a legal fight. A heavyweight in the business world. The organization says the SEC's regulatory chaos is by design, not happenstance. And this is an article on Decrypt, May 12th.
Yeah.
So the U.S. Chamber of Commerce called out the Securities and Exchange Commission on Thursday, slamming the financial watchdog for its regulatory approach toward the digital asset industry. It filed an amicus brief in support of Coinbase, which took the SEC to court last month. The exchange wants a court to force the SEC to respond to its so-called petition for rulemaking, filed last July. The petition asks the SEC to propose and adopt rules for digital assets and answers questions related to regulation. This article goes on for a bit. This is a very nice quote. The SEC has deliberately muddied the waters by claiming sweeping authority over digital assets while deploying a haphazard enforcement-based approach. Wrote, this regulatory chaos is by design, not happenstance. So this is pretty strong language, right? the US
Yeah.
is kind of panicking, and the SEC is trying to hold their ground, but they're doing this by, for instance, suing Coinbase and some others for selling unregistered securities, and that's wonderful, right? That's fine, but that means that if you sue, you need to have evidence, and that means you have to define what a security is and how that translates into a crypto. And if then the question, and that was the McHenry interrogation, it's like, yeah, dude, okay, so you're suing exchanges.
It was like a Comedy Central roast in a way.
Yeah, is ETH a security or a commodity? And he cannot answer the question. How the hell can you sue an exchange if you cannot define what ETH is? Is it a commodity?
Yeah.
And if you cannot say it for that one, you cannot do it for the rest, because the rest are in some way, shape, or form subsidiaries of that, or at least in the same ballpark. And yes, ETH is different than Bitcoin because ETH actually has somebody that created it that is known, and it is not necessarily publicly owned, and then public in the sense like Bitcoin, right? ETH still has its creator, blah blah. So, but because of that, because they do not have that clarity, their entire country is in stagnation, and the SEC is, like I said, is suing and trying to fear actually the world into compliance, but they don't really have shit to back it up. So it is interesting now that the Chamber of Commerce, right, they're talking about commodities in general, and for instance, Bitcoin, is, I believe, would be deemed a commodity, and utility tokens could be in theory as well. So they would fall under their authority, and it could very well be that they want, in some way, shape, or form, but this is way outside my comfort zone, to have ruling and saying over crypto.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine that there's benefits to that. Most important for us, Europe is getting their ducks in a row. Regulation is here. And yes, as you will see later on, it will be a work in progress. But the US needs to keep up, because the UK, they're not part of Europe. They are undoubtedly also getting their steel warm, right? And making sure that they keep up with the EU. And for them, it's probably a lot easier because they have already decided they want to be the crypto hub of the world.
Yeah, I think it's just really interesting to see this happening. So one government agency attacking the other one. I'm not sure if the Chamber of Commerce is really government, though. I think it is. But like, these regulators, they are in a really tricky position because, well, they want to do things properly, but if you do things too properly, you're slowing down your economic processes, and that is something you don't necessarily want. I think that the same things happen in other sectors as well, where these watchdogs or authorities or whatever you call them are going too far, and then they are actually disrupting entire sectors. And that's not necessarily a good thing. I think, well, this is illustrative of how this goes in the United States, where they don't really know where they are going, and they really need to watch out. And this happens.
A lot of fear, right? A lot of fear.
Yeah,
nobody wants to make the decision. Nobody wants to be responsible.
No,
I did like the McHenry guy, right? Because he's like, we're all just figuring this out, and we're just going by whenever you sue, new legislation will be filed, etc. And which is also crazy, but to me still, right? That they need the jurisprudence to then move on, right? So there needs to be a sue and then a counter sue, and then they need the entire system. But it feels like they're reactive, right? Every time something happens and then they're reactive instead of proactive like the EU is right now.
Yeah, I think government in general is always reactive. You always react to stuff that already happened, and everyone is trying to figure it out. But in this instance, it is also being accompanied with like these vested interests that were already there by some big players. I think that also plays a part in this game. All those lobby groups of big banks. I'm not sure how the system works. I'm not trying to say anything. It's interesting for sure, but the only thing I know with Quant, we are in a safe haven. So Quant is playing with all the rules, according to the rules, and they're not doing stuff. They haven't done stuff which was sketchy. They've just always followed the rules for as far as possible.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't worry too much. But yeah, I mean, it's something that's playing out, and we will.
I'm not worried at all about Quant, to be honest.
No.
I mean,
but I would
they took the FINMA approach to regulation back when they designed the token in 2017, and they did their due diligence on this. I mean, Gilbert has created more rules and standards and I can't find the other word than many politicians have.
Yeah.
On 3 fucking continents.
Yeah.
So,
I wouldn't be too worried about it. But it's kind of this point kind of sets the example for the rest of the episode, I guess.
Yeah.
With people being worried and then the nuance that we bring.
Yeah. Shall we move on to the Bank of England BIS news?
Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Project
so here we
Rosalind.
are.
And now I know who it is. I didn't know who Rosalind was until like last week, where you said, "Oh yeah, it's the doctor that."
DNA sequencing.
The sequence of DNA, indeed.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. Hooray for Wikipedia! Oh no, that was the BIS side actually. We'll have a look at that in a bit. But Yahoo Finance. Central banks don't care how much people spend on sandwiches, says CBDC developer Quant, which is nice. I saw this narrative, or actually, this type of narrative a couple of times now. Quant is now being stamped, branded as the CBDC developer, and I don't care about your politics and your feelings about security and privacy. The CBDC developer, that's interesting to me. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's not longer a London-based blockchain company.
Yeah, it's no longer a crypto startup or whatever. No, it's a CBDC developer. And this, right? I mean, we're talking crypto. This narrative is really important. I mean, people love stories, and more Quant is being gedoodverfd. Branded. Branded as the specialist, the authority, and why is,
I think
deemed, and that's and why this is important is because let's say, and this is not true, but let's say that Quant has 0 central banks and has 0 clients. If you are perceived as the leading authority and you're being marketed by third parties, as such, people will come to you because people follow the mainstream news. Same as us crypto schnitzels do this. Look at that. They must be really fucking good. And nobody generally digs deeper, and we just assume. That's why there's so many misconceptions in crypto about what's going on. And being now being branded, deemed the CBDC developer, this gets Quant on the radar of other countries, other banks, if they do not know already. And I think almost all already know. But this narrative, I don't know who created it. Could very well be Quant. Would be very clever of them. But this is big, right? CBDC
Yeah.
developer Quant. And this is just like a very loose term, but there were other articles, and I'm sorry for not having them prepared. But this is not a single occurrence, right? This happens more and more. That Quant is actually being labeled as this, and I think that is good marketing, really good marketing.
For
So
sure.
they were at FT Crypto last week, May 9th, and Gilbert was on stage with the Bank of England. And I think Quant or Yahoo wrote this article. I don't know how the copy gets delivered, but it reads this: Gilbert Verdian, CEO and founder of Quant, company involved in the development of central bank digital currencies, mostly in the US and the UK, insisted that users shouldn't be worried about privacy when it comes to CBDC technology. This is a quote from Gilbert. We can categorically state that the central bank does not care how much people spend on sandwiches. It's not their mission, Verdian said in the Financial Times Crypto and Digital Assets Summit. What is happening is the same rules of AML, KYC are going to be applied to central bank currencies as they are today to any other form of money from commercial banks. Gilbert was there on stage as the technical authority. Tom Mutton, the UK CBDC director, was there with him, and there came eventually, this is not in the article, a question from the audience, a tech question. And Tom literally said, let's give this question to Gilbert. So to me, that makes it pretty clear that Gilbert did more than buy the sandwiches there and or clean the floors or whatever.
In 2 weeks, we will be halfway through this year, but I think once we start doing our year in review of everything that happens in 2023, this might be one of the top 5 moments for me personally. It's
yes, yeah, for me too. That was actually the day that I felt adrenaline again.
It's been 84 years.
Yeah, no, but I mean, CBDCs will be coming. I think, as you guys know, that all the tracking and privacy concerns are highly exaggerated. I mean, it's good that we think about it. But Gilbert also had a very nice statement. I don't know if it was this interview, but I'm talking to you. You do not realize how little the central bank knows about you. They know close to nothing. But the sheer amount of data that you willingly share with Instagram, Facebook, Google, Apple,
your Twitter where you always complain.
Yes, all those algorithms know so much more about you than your bank does, because there's always the commercial banks that are in between, right? So I'm with ING, for instance, and ABN, and they have some of my info, and they know to a degree what I spend my money on, but that's it. And that doesn't even go to the central bank. Only when there's like very suspicious transactions, they could technically subpoena what I am doing. But they don't care. They truly don't care. And you can believe that they want to steer behavior, but it's just ridiculous. And on the other hand, Amazon and Netflix, whenever you click the thumb to a video, they can actually profile you with all the other data that you have. And they do, happily. Tim, his smartphone regularly just goes, I'm sorry, I did not understand you. And then Siri is listening in our talks.
Yeah.
All those things are much more impactful to your privacy. And this is not me, this is Gilbert, right? And I poured some gravy over it, but that was the bottom line. So
I think, and to add to that, you now also have all these AI assistants, artificial. Some of them literally want to know how your day was. They really want to make a profile out of you.
Disabled.
Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily bad. It's just something that happens. So
Yeah, so they recommend you a psychologist or a Vicodin supplier or whatever. Yeah. I mean, I'm paranoid enough as it is. Truly. I mean, I'm not an
not that
idiot.
paranoid.
But CBDCs people, and we're getting to how the OG BTC Maxi crypto Maxis get in your head and how they have formed a narrative for you. We're getting to that later. But yeah, so Project Rosalind, getting back on topic. Bank of England and Quant share CBDC vision. This is added to the website today. Dr. Puppers in Council brought this to my attention. Check out Council. Oh, and send Puppers a banana emoji in DM. I don't know why. He used to have Bert, right? Bert is a speaking banana from Sesame Street.
Yeah.
He used to have that as his profile pic back in the day.
Yeah, I do remember, but
yeah, so I thought send him a banana. That's fine. Anyway,
okay, sure.
Or a bird gift. Okay, disregard my last. Anyway, so they added this to their website, and we thought initially when the statement came that Quant was, let's say, involved, that tweet would have been taken down, that it was an overzealous intern posting it, but then Andrew confirmed, and now all these things are on their website.
Yeah. Well, it's actually from today.
Yeah, it is from
today.
today.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. A digital pound will have the very highest standards of privacy. That's okay.
Well, I said it's the 16th of May, to be clear. Date of recording.
Yeah. So there's also video fragments here. I'll show you the fourth, because that was the most interesting, arguably. But Tom Mutton, Director of Central Bank Digital Currencies from the Bank of England. So he's not just fill in the blank. I'm done insulting people. Maybe. Gilbert shares his views. Got to count again. Count. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
So experiments are hugely important to us. We've done a bunch already. So we've done 2 with the Bank for International Settlements, who have a London centre, Project Rosalind and Project Meridian. Meridian was focused on housing, just recently been published. Rosalind should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's focused on central bank digital currency. I mean, Gilbert has been really important in this. He was a sort of an important participant with Quant, providing input. We're also looking at offline payments with Thales and Sample Wallet with Kin and Carter. So these are really important to us. We've got a bunch of these experiments going on. But we've also run tech sprints and workshops alongside with some really important and really major participants actually helping us think about the use cases. So I think those BIS experiments have been hugely important, really valuable, and watch this space for the Rosalind report coming out.
Right. Rosalind report coming out shortly. What I find really interesting is how he was weighing and mincing his words, right? Yeah. Gilbert was kind of involved, as if it felt to me when he started talking and named Gilbert that he misspoke. That's how it felt when I saw that.
Meridian was focused on housing, just recently been published. Rosalind should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's focused on central bank digital currency. I mean, Gilbert has been really important in this. He was a sort of an important participant.
A sort of important participant. That to me, on the one hand, to me, it's really bullish, and on the other hand, it's a little bit terrifying. Not trying to FUD here, don't get me wrong. He knows very fucking well what Gilbert did. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way that he does not know.
This
he knows
honestly could go both
exactly-
ways. Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely knows what his part was that he played. Because when the audience came with a question, he was like, him. I don't know. So he knows. Yeah, it was here again. I think it's hilarious in a way.
It's been really important in this. He was a sort of an important participant.
It was really important. He was sort of an important dude. Just say it. So to me, it feels like there's actually a lot going on.
Yeah.
It almost feels like, oh fuck, I can't break NDA. How can I say this without saying it, but still say it? Kind of like that.
Yeah. The other scenario is that.
Yeah, that he did actually just do the coffee.
Yeah, I mean that he kind of just gave them advice, and that is it. But that wouldn't really make any sense. Why would
There was a guy on Twitter
they
today
be
as
so
well.
proud of this in the long run? That won't help.
Yeah, there was a
Then
guy on
they
Twitter
would-
as well. Why don't they have? They probably have a private in-house solution, and they have something designed themselves. And then I asked, okay, but why the hell would you then sit on stage with Gilbert Verdian, who creates products that exactly do this? If you have your in-house thing, then you should get your own in-house dev, right? I mean, this is the Bank of England. This is not some Microsoft that wants a high-profile person on there for PR reasons. The Bank of England doesn't give about PR, right? So why
it's a
then
bank.
would you get a CEO of a private fintech on stage if he has done nothing for the entire project? Why would Gilbert go up there if they have a proprietary solution?
Yeah,
Makes
and
no sense.
And a friendly reminder: it's still government. I'm not sure how it works in the UK, but at least here in the Netherlands, as soon as the government is getting, how do we say, it's getting involved with technology, it becomes a mess. I'm not sure how it works in the UK. But I do know the Dutch context. And I do know that we hire private companies to fix our stuff because we cannot do it ourselves. We are completely incapable.
Yes, of course, because you cannot pay the people that are actually good at that work.
No, you don't have the funds because you.
Yeah. So look at this on the website. The link is in the description, but they also go on CBDC interoperability, technical, Gilbert's view, private permission chains, clear standards, interbank networks. For most of us, this is common knowledge, common sense. This is a really nice, comprehensive story. I think what they did here, and this is, from my perspective, a compliment to Quant. The story that they are telling here in text is illustrated by the videos, and then it goes on, and there's a video. I think that's really nice. I think it's a lot more engaging than just plain text, and it's a lot more illustrative than only video, right? I mean, you could have just posted the video on YouTube and be done with it. Oh, we need to check the YouTube. But this is new to me, new style, and I think they did well.
I think that's Quanta magazine. You can also simply go to YouTube and check our subscriptions.
Boomer.
Well, you figured that out. Yeah, it's the website is getting nicer and nicer, and that's all. Oh, that's just our own intro. That's our own intro, and on the left you will see.
Yes,
above...
I was listening to what you're trying to say.
Okay. Oh, okay. Above epic rap battles of history.
Yeah.
somehow we are subscribed to that, which is cool.
Yes, I love these
That's
guys.
pretty-
I was mixing up my own YouTube with this, and
Yeah.
let's see what else I subscribe to. Oh, the rest is indeed on point. Oh, here, just also comment.
No.
ERB got stuck in there.
Okay, but yeah, but before
I actually
we move,
suggested to have. Who did I suggest? Was that Gilbert with Satoshi? I can't remember.
Gilbert Freudian
Not there
against
yet.
Satoshi Nakamoto. No. That would be pretty epic.
Or Satoshi versus Gary Gensler. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they didn't. Okay, TLDR. They didn't upload the fragments on their YouTube yet. That
right.
was what we were trying to find out,
Which is clever because that actually drives traffic to your website. We are
Yeah.
idiots. We have our videos on YouTube and not on our own website.
No,
By the
we
way,
do
go
have
visit the
them.
Quamfy show.
Yeah, I should still write a new blog. I haven't
Yeah.
posted anything for ages there. Sorry.
Yeah, and leave a comment. I would love to see a notification of one of you guys actually posting a comment or asking a question on our blog, rather than all the fucking idiots looking for free advertisement or trying to promote their scam. It's
You're not
terrible.
interested. Yeah. Okay. Is that
Project
it for
Rosalind,
project?
by the way, Project Rosalind.
Oh,
This is the BIS site. Go
Yeah.
check that out. Go check that out. There's a couple of updates there. And I suspect that we will get the report also being posted here. Somebody threw out a gauntlet in the council. I believe it was UQ, Ultra Quamfy. He said, who's going to be the Chad that finds the Rosalind report first? So, challenge right there.
yeah. They
And
said it was
Rosalind-
coming out. Oh. No, go for
Rosalind
it.
Franklin. That was the lady doctor. That key to understanding DNA sequencing. That's what the project was named after. Tim,
Yeah.
please.
No, I said, well, the indeed the report is coming out, coming 2 weeks or so. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Shall we have a look on Coingecko for a bit? Not that there is too much to see, honestly, but it is fun for the historical record. So it's
105 burger tokens.
105 burger tokens. Okay.
Quant, and let's see, Bitcoin is rounded up 27K. It's a lot better than when I checked this morning.
You're not
so-
sharing your screen.
Oh,
YouTube crowd.
thank you.
Now,
So-
they could look at us. So that's also very good, I guess.
Bitcoin.
Yeah, 27K.
27K burger tokens, and on the 7-day, it is at its lowest.
Yeah.
On the 24 hours, it's this. It's almost the same. On the 24 hours, it's on its lowest. On the 7 days, worse. It was worse on Friday, 700. But yeah, it's let's see on the 14 days. Yeah, we're down about, well, Bitcoin is down about 1K since last episode. And looking at Quant, 105 with a interesting spike in price, no spike in volume. Volume is horrendous. It's 16 million right now. And it was even worse because, yeah, we were down to sub 10 million volume on May 14th, which is crazy.
Yeah, everyone is just hodling their Quant. It seems.
Yeah, there's truly nothing going on. We look about a year ago. I mean, our average volume, let's see, 180 days. I believe it was around 20, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Here, volume 50 mil, 26 mil, 17 mil, 25, 18. So we averaged a lot higher, around 25 to 50. But yeah, volume is non-existent. So moving the needle was pretty easy. And actually surprised that we're keeping up.
It's just so interesting. The volume is low. Actually, it's returning to not all-time lows, but well, historical lows at least. Well, our FA is stronger than ever, and also our infrastructure of underlying exchanges is stronger than ever. So to me, the only thing it signals is that everyone is just holding their QNT somewhere in a ledger, somewhere in their house with codes. I'm hinting at the next section of the show. And nobody is really trading QNT. Why would they?
Yeah. That's a good question. That's a good question. Why wouldn't you? Well, I'm still curious. How many of the QNT holders are part of our community? Not necessarily the Quamfy community. In general.
You mean you mean like the the crowd, at least that we see on Telegram, on Discord, on Twitter,
Yeah.
Yeah, what kind of other mediums do you have? There's also some Facebook Quant groups, I believe. At least like the focal crowd, let's call them that way.
How many people truly know all the FA?
I think around between 1% and 5%, and that's a positive estimate.
How many of the 120K holders are individuals like you and I? And how many of those 120K are people with multiple wallets?
Yeah.
I think looking at like the top 1,000, top 500, I think that by now the majority is not individuals.
No, for sure it's not. We can have a brief look, perhaps, when we're talking about it. It's kind of interesting for sure, and it keeps fascinating me to just look at the sheer. I'm not sure how it ties into the rest of the episode, but let's just do it with the EatPlor or something. Just have a brief look at the holders, because it is something that is very tangible. We can literally look at what people are holding, and yeah, that's something we've been calling for ages. But the top 1,000 doesn't mainly consist of individuals. It's exchanges, it's people spreading their wallets. I would be surprised if there were more than 400 individuals in the top 1K.
Yeah,
I don't think that is the case.
So right now we're on Etherscan, and max total supply is still 45K. Holders 129,000, so it's almost 130,000. Circulating supply market cap 1.5 billion.
Yeah.
Almost 1.4 million transfers. So looking at the first address, that's the burn wallet, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a holder. This is not with the team. This is a smart contract.
It does grow every now and then because idiots send their QNT to the burn. They are not idiots. They are very smart people.
You can actually see here that it's a smart contract, and the burn and mint function is no longer operational. Not really sure why I click here, because I'm not confident I can find it in one go. But you can read the code for the smart contract here. Then you can see that everything that's sent there is locked forever, because there is no key in existence to unlock the contract again.
As if they are smart people because they send their money to a smart contract.
Yes.
So
that's a
every now and
Quamfy,
then the
1
number
million.
increases. Yeah.
Huh?
So keep the every now and then that number increases.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's leave that outside for a little analysis.
Yeah. This is for the team. For the team, the 1.2 million.
Yeah. And to be clear, that is not the team wallet that has been selling consistently. This is for the advisors, the
Founders,
etc.
it's been more or less stable. Few minor sells. So if we go down here, right, you can see Binance 8, you can see KuCoin, IDEX, Binance 39, Crypto.com 5, and so on. These are the things that are interesting to us, right? What you see here, position 29, 30, 31, 32. They all contain the same amount of tokens.
They are literally identical.
Up until the 18th decimal.
Exactly. And there is no human that can perfect that. No way that is a human individual entity. So, no way.
When you go there, then you can see
like clockwork.
It originates from Coinbase and it moved to this wallet. And it's always in batches, right? Batches of 4 or in a single batch. And Hungarian did the research together with Sebastian. It is humanly impossible to send so many transactions in such a short time frame with that accuracy to a contract. So our assumption is that this is custody.
Yeah, this must be Coinbase custody.
Yeah. And why is this interesting? Because that makes the metric, how many tokens are there on exchanges, invalid, right? It doesn't work anymore. Yeah, back in the day, that was a very more or less reliable way to see if people are bullish or bearish. If they're bullish, then they have QNT on their ledger. And if they're bearish, they throw it on the exchange to sell it, right? If they're feeling a top, and there's an influx of Bitcoin on exchanges so people can sell. That metric gets diluted, in my opinion, at least. This also clogs up the top 1,000 holders, right? So I know there's a lot of people, I was one of them that really wanted to be a top 1,000 holder. And there's it's not attainable for a lot of people anymore. But you can still be a top 1,000 human. I just don't know how to accurately measure. But this is just 5 wallets, or that we can see that is definitely not human. And it goes on. There's more of these batches with the same amount of tokens in them. And that's either clients or companies or whatever that needed a custody solution. Trying to look up another while I'm talking and scrolling. But exchanges have their obviously their wallets here as well. And there's probably some high net worth individuals that have separated or split up their holdings for safety purposes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Here's
interesting.
Another one. We have 10,176.84559700788, whatever. And that's position 125 all the way down to position 133.
That's 8 places in the top 1,000.
8 spots in the top 1,000 with the exact same amount of QNT to the 18th decimal. That's not humanly possible to do this consistently in that amount of time. So this is also most likely something else, and we assume custody. And there's a ton of those other things, right? I mean, 10K is an easy number. These are my that's the Quamfy Show donation wallet. Thank you so much for the support. Here's another 9970903.
Yeah.
Also the same too.
Sure. I think that the point has been made, but I'm huh?
No.
What I would be really curious about, and something we could do ourselves even with our how would that translate in English, like our home and kitchen research, or is this a perfect Dunglish? Home garden and kitchen
garden variety. Yeah, garden variety research. Yeah,
garden variety research. Nice. Yeah, you can hear this is a Netherlands podcast. No, we could do this ourselves, right? So we could literally just sum up all those wallets and then see how many of them are probably
There's a lot more than there were, dude.
Non-individual legal entities, if it makes any sense in English even, in the top 1K. And then we could say, hey, these are probably humans and these are probably just kind of all legal entity in the form of a company or whatever. So that would be fun research. I reckon that someone like Sebastian is probably.
Yeah, I'm up to page 6 now.
Like that. Oh yeah.
And
you stopped sharing though.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you were bored. Well over half these wallets. Here, there's another batch right here. Zing. That's the same. And this is page. Here, these are the same. This is page 6. So we go to page 5. That's another 5. Exactly the same. Another 4. Exactly the same. That's on page 5 only. So on page 5, there's 4 plus 5. Now the other were already 10. Take into account exchanges. There's a lot of tiers here again. 655. It's another 3.
Yeah, it goes on and on and on. I think the minimum amount of QNT required currently stands around 1340 QNT.
We can go to the last page. Let's see, last.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, so top 1330
QNT.
1330. Nice. And it's yeah. You can think of it what you like. It's nice to know. But there's a lot of non-organic wallets in there. And I think because that's how we started all this, there are a lot less actual people holding QNT than we think.
Yeah,
it is still very unknown.
And there will be a lot of sleeping holders. To give you an example, I do know people in my environment that I advised, friendly advice to, well, not financial advice, but they did buy QNT under my influence. But they have no clue what's going on. They literally don't know what they are investing in, other than that I am very positive about it. Yeah. Said, hey, if you are going to invest, this might be a good, this might be a good opportunity. They have no interest, intrinsic interest to learn about it. They don't know what's going on. I think there will be many people around the globe.
Number will go up.
Exactly, who are literally in the same position. We have no clue what's going on, just hodling it in their ledger, and don't even bother to listen to our show. Go on Telegram, learn about all the stuff going on, let alone visit Consul, everything. Many people are just sleeping holders here. And if only those people would simply just learn about all the stuff that's going on, that would be very positive. And I think in a general market where things where numbers go up, when people only slightly learn about the amount of FA that we have amassed on top of what we already had during the previous bull run, we have very good papers to surpass our previous all-time high and go even higher into the top 10. Okay, that's a bit off topic. Let's go back into the stuff of this episode that we had lined up.
Yes, there was a little bit of a riot. There's probably still a riot because people always riot. Regarding ledger. Let's
Ledger.
Hello, I'm Charles Guillemet,
Website.
CTO at Ledger. I'd like to take a few minutes to introduce a new service. Ledger Recover is an optional subscription for users who want a backup of their secret recovery phrase so they can restore access to their wallets whenever, wherever, even if they have lost or broken their Ledger Nano and don't have their recovery sheet with them. For some people, it's a very convenient service, but some others simply don't need it. You can continue managing your secret recovery phrase all by yourself if that's why you bought a Ledger at the first place. This is not automatically enabled by any firmware updates. This is your choice. Self-custody is at the core of our offering, and your secret recovery phrase is created on your device. We have no access to it. This will never change. We are uncompromising about security, and that will never change. If you choose to subscribe, Ledger Recover encrypts your secret recovery phrase and splits it into 3 fragments. All of this happens inside the secure element chip, so your private key is never at risk. These encrypted fragments are stored by 3 different parties on hardware security modules. In this process, Ledger and our trusted providers have no access to your secret recovery phrase. There's no backdoor for anyone, neither us, a provider, or even a very gifted hacker to access it. Individually, these encrypted fragments are completely useless. When you want to restore your keys, 2 of these 3 parties will send back their fragments to your Ledger device, which will be able to recombine your secret recovery phrase and allow you to access back your wallet. Decryption can only happen on the Ledger secure element chip after identity verification. The split, encryption or decryption happens on your Ledger device and does not involve any other party than you. Nobody within Ledger or outside Ledger ever has access to it. Self-custody remains and will always be the core principle of Ledger. The ethos of self-custody is that it's your choice. You can choose to manage all your assets completely by yourself, or you can have a backup with Ledger Recover.
Okay, so I'm showing this 2:36 because there was a lot of FUD, buzz, whatever you want to call it, about Ledger introducing Ledger Recover. So if we go to their website, really briefly, you can see Ledger Recover. Protect your seed phrase with Ledger Recover. Recover your keys using your identity. Coming soon. Soft launch exclusively for Nano X. With Ledger Recover, you'll never get locked out of your wallet. Ledger Recover backs up your secret recovery phrase and links it to your identity. There's a video here, link in the description. So you need to do KYC with Ledger and record a selfie. When you've done that, your Ledger Nano X duplicates your recovery phrase, splits it into 3 pieces, and sends that to 3 separate entities. That's a little bit the TLDR. Why would you want this? Because people are now scared that there's now potentially backdoors. That's why they created this tweet. that there's backdoors or that there's other forms of data sharing, etc. You have to understand, and I know this is not a ledger, but if this were a ledger, this is the only spot in the world that contains my secret key and that contains my recovery phrase, so my 24 words. Nowhere else is this in existence. If I smash this, I need my words, my 24, 25 words, get a new one and activate the new one. If now this ledger is here and I have my 24 words here, I put them all in this hand and my hand explodes, they're both gone. Then all my funds are gone forever. There is no mathematical, technical, human way to ever get to your funds ever again. Not even Ledger has the data. They couldn't help you if they wanted to. And that will never change. If I do not plug this thing in manually, this will never change. If I do not plug this in and click the buttons on there, there is no way that your funds can get siphoned from your wallet. Unless you are an idiot or you're getting scammed really cleverly, then you're still an idiot. And you plug this in and you authorize a smart contract and you give them the rights to do stuff, then technically you could still get scammed, but then it's still your fault. Yeah, there's no fix for stupid, I suppose. But why would you want this? I gave the example in the past, right? I have 2 children. They are young, under 10. I go travel with my wife every now and then. We take an airplane. I know everything for my ledger. I know where everything is, how everything works, etc. My wife, not so much, maybe a bit. If the plane crashes and we both die, then the ledger probably also gone. My phone is on me. My phone is also gone. I am gone. My wife's phone is gone. So how will then my children have access to our funds? How will then my family have access to my wealth? My dad still uses smoke signals to communicate and snail mail. He still licks post stamps whenever he wants to send a message. And he has a phone with a big ring that you can click to call somebody. I'm exaggerating, but that's almost true. Let's say that that's my family. My kids will have nothing. Nothing. When I die, when something happens. The funds will be lost forever. Even this, if this were the ledger, once again, they cannot access this because there's no one to enter the code. Because good hygiene says you should not write down your codes ever. Because it can get stolen or they put a drill bit to your kneecaps. Okay, that's all good and well. Never store your seed recovery phrase anywhere online. Don't write it down more places than you have to. But yeah, my children, if we die, finds this house and then they clean it out, nobody will know what those 24 words on that sheath of paper are. No one knows. And if you're not an absolute nut job, this matters to you, right? That's important. I mean, we're all trying to acquire wealth for freedom of time, blah, 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 generational wealth, what we call it. There's even people that have everything memorized. Imagine you fall on your head, instant amnesia. Congratulations, now you're poor. Because maybe you cannot even operate your ledger anymore. And you cannot tell anybody because you're like that. Then you have a problem. With this, you don't have to create a document like I did. I created the document where we travel. Spoke about this in another show. I made a couple of thumb drives And I wrote the entire story down in Eli 5 terms, right? So that any single person that can read it can actually gain access to our wealth. But that's a major no-no. That's a major liability. Because if somebody knows where I stored it, and I have like 100 of these things, so this is not the one. And it's not in my house, obviously. But these are all safety concerns and privacy concerns. And then people say, yeah, but you can also just put it in a bank and hire a bank vault. But aren't we trying to stay away from banks? And aren't banks closed 70 days a year? And can't banks go bankrupt? And so on and so on. So, I mean, it's all worst case scenarios. But this, what Ledger provides, I'm not going with it personally, not yet. But I think it's a great solution. I think it really solves a very, very big part of why people do not use Ledger. Some people in my environment surroundings are not using Ledger because they are not very conscientious. They're not good with codes. They're not good with numbers. And they're just afraid that they will lose everything because of a mistake. And that's not good for Ledger's business, obviously. But if you lose your PIN number or your credit card, you can just call your bank, go there, show them your ID, and you can get your card activated or your account activated. If somebody dies, you can go there with a, how do you call that thing? Certificate of death. Okay, listen, my dad died. I need access to the accounts. And it will take some time, but it will work. Same with Google Authenticator. Have you ever looked at the procedure to activate your authenticator in case your phone gets smashed or something like that? That's also a lot of work, but that's what you pay for security and privacy. Ledger now offers the same. So you can store your receipt. They throw it in 3 different vaults. 2 companies are known. The third is a secret. It is not possible, allegedly, to combine those. Hacks are possible, stuff maybe, whatever. But still, it's a decent option. Same as with your bank. And I have no doubt that in the future, they'll give some sort of guarantee or whatever. I mean, trust needs to be established, right?
Yeah.
But shooting this down at a first glance, I think is idiotic. I think, and that's what we spoke of earlier. There's this culture, there's this preconception that everybody has about how things should be done. And I think it's outdated. I think it's an old way of thinking. And the way Ledger operates right now is not the future. The way MetaMask operates right now, it is not the future. This, we will laugh 5 years, 10 years from now. Why the hell we ever did it like the way we do it now? Because it's just a hassle. It's not customer friendly. It's not safe. It's not secure. I mean, it is safe and secure until something bad happens. And then your funds are lost. And that's very good for all the other holders, but it's not good for you, right? There's no fail safe. And for a military system, Ledger is perfect, right? For that type of security, it's yeah. This message will self-destruct. Like that.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be mainstream the way it is right now. Ledger, they have to do this. They have to do this. And Trezor will follow suit. Trezor will definitely follow suit. Sorry, I've been talking for 30 minutes, I think. Tim.
Yeah, but I do agree with you. Then when I do, I usually don't interrupt. I just also just got the Ledger news that they're trying to, well, that they are going to implement this on in their services, which I think is great. Because, well, I know that most people in crypto have no clue what's going on. Once again, trusting them with their own security. We've had this discussion many times before. Do I handle my own crypto security? Yes, I do, but I do know that a lot of people around me are not capable to do so. Or if they will probably make a mistake somewhere. making them still vulnerable. So the future will obviously be in some kind of solution like this. And I think that a party like Ledger stepping up is a great thing, because they are decentralized. And as you said, you still need the device.
Yeah.
That's a great
Yeah,
thing, man.
your
And we'll see
words
how
will
it
be
plays out. But
it will be distributed.
yeah, sure. But
Yeah.
anyway, I think it's a great move, and we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Ledger Recover, provided by Coingecko, fixes all this. Some tweets. Wrote my recovery phrase on a piece of paper, lost it during a move. Still got a couple of ETH sitting in it. Wrote my recovery phrase down with some tricks. Forgot the tricks. RIP BTC. Wrote a word twice. Lost a few of them, fortunately without any funds in the wallet. I still think that seed phrase is pretty complicated for most people. Couldn't find my recovery phrase for a long time. Turns out I left it in a pair of old pants that my mom decided to put through the washer. There's tons of examples of this. And human error is always going to happen. And the same, right? I mean, we heard this discussion 10,000 of times, and there's these people coming out of the woodwork. Yeah, no, I don't want to write all my 24 words in one spot. So I just skip every fifth word. Or no, man, just cut it in 3 pieces and then store 1 piece here, store 1 piece there, store 1 piece there. It all works until somebody's house burns down, or you get amnesia, or you're the only person that knows how it works. I mean, that's why I had to compromise on the security to a degree. Because, yeah, in the end, I still live for my kids now that I have them, right? And that is what's going on in crypto more often than not. People do not think about the future. We think about the now, we think about ourselves. And this, I think this was inevitable.
Yeah, it is. And it's definitely a great solution that they are adding, and we'll see how that plays out. Back to Quant, back to the Quamfy show. Is there
MiCAr?
Oh yeah, MiCAr. I was already.
How long are we in?
Into a long. You're 1 hour 22 minutes.
Okay, let's do MiCAr, and then cancel the rest.
Oh yeah, the rest was more.
The rest was great. Yeah, the rest was gravy anyway, which is fine. Okay, so MiCAR, EU crypto legislation. MiCAR passes final hurdle 3 hours ago by Ledger Insights. Today, the EU Council endorsed the Markets for Crypto Assets regulation after the European Parliament approved it in April. This was the final step in passing the legislation. It is expected to come into force around July this year, so some provisions will be applicable from July 2024, including those for stablecoins. So this means that there's going to be things happening in July and some from July 2024. I'm not really sure if this is a typo, reading this. Now that I read it for like the 6th time we discussed this prior to this. But recent events have confirmed the urgent need for imposing rules, which will better protect Europeans who have invested in these assets and prevent the misuse of crypto industry for the purpose of money laundering and financing terrorism. That's obviously still a big thing. Originally, there was to be a threshold of €1,000. That has been dropped, so the travel rule is required for transfers of as little as a few cents. However, P2P transactions between self-hosted wallets are excluded, and if the transaction is between self-hosted wallet and an exchange, then there is a 1,000 threshold. So this means that if you're a business or a company, all transactions need to be compliant with the travel rule. And if you're a private citizen, you do something with an exchange, then the threshold is 1,000. And that means that you have to provide identity information, right?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. 12 rule means you cannot just send money from certain amounts. You need to share who you are, what you're sharing it for, or stuff like that, at least. And a couple of, well, most of you have probably already encountered this. If I transfer money to Tim, or if you donate to the Quamfy show, you don't have to, this doesn't apply. So this is nice because this also confirms that self-hosted wallets are still acknowledged and that they are still legal, right? There were, as usual, the tinfoil hats. Oh, they're gonna ban self-hosted wallets. Mostly the Americans, because the SEC actually said that, I think. But they're still a thing. You can still do that, and they're not trying to shut it down. They're just trying to make sure that people don't get screwed over time again. And this is a good thing. This is a good thing. There is a nice insight from Bird and Bird. It's a big law firm. You have a hyperlink on this page, and you can follow this to find a PDF. The PDF is, in my opinion, pretty comprehensive. We're not going to deep dive in it. I tried to wrestle through this before the episode.
That was impossible.
There's too
to do
much
that before the
information.
show. It's but at least have
any
a look.
form of authority.
I think that the most important thing about MiCAR, or whatever you call it, is that, well, the EU ministers, so the ministers of finance, have unanimously agreed upon it, and that it will enter force starting from July this year, and that some aspects of the new regulation will enter force July 2024, so in a year's time. And that's great news because it will make the space more stable, less Pepes, less Doki coins, more players like Quant, and that's a great thing.
Yeah, because what we did gather from what we read really quickly, without going into detail, is that in the future, if you want to create a coin or a token or whatever, you need to comply with regulations. So you need to be a registered business. So at least you need to have, most likely, a registration with the Chamber of Commerce. You need to provide a white paper that needs to adhere to certain standard specifics, etc. There's going to be accountability, and there will also obviously always be the MetaMask to MetaMask, Uniswap, SushiSwap, PancakeSwap, Dildo Swap, whatever other thing they came up with the other day, Poop Swap, no, whatever. That will exist. What will be more or less impossible is that a coin like Pepe, which is plagiarism, it's stolen from a man that created it, that owns the intellectual property to it, that gets listed on a fucking exchange as Binance, etc. You cannot steal somebody's intellectual property anymore in the future, make a ton of money off it, and most likely rug within 6 months. Not possible anymore. So that's a good thing. And that means that the trading volumes will only be on the Uniswap and God knows what else, Prince Swap, and no longer on the exchanges anymore. That will also mean that if your shitcoin, unregistered, unregulated, with an anonymous-ish owner, is now still on an exchange and you have a lot of money in that, not sure what it will look like, but I will not be holding that crap when this comes truly into force, because it could very well be, and I believe there was an exchange the other day that already delisted a ton of stuff. It could very well be, and I'm not trying to create FUD here, right? But use your brain. That exchanges are going to be held accountable for what they offer, right? like securities cannot be offered. That's a very simple thing to define, except with the SEC. But if a company if a coin does not have a company behind it, like Quant, and it's just a random dude that generated a coin within 20 seconds and threw it on there, and it got a little bit of buzz, and now it's on an exchange, I cannot see that coin will remain there if they have not KYC'd properly.
No.
So
Yeah,
I would not take the risk.
I wasn't taking the risk anyway, and honestly,
No.
I couldn't care less about all these coins. There were like 10,000 or 15,000 or 20,000 crypto coins.
I bought like Black Kishu Inu. I still have that.
Yeah, well, if you look
It
at the
rugged
top
so far that I couldn't even sell it. Now I have like 10 million of those things.
Okay. And if you look at the top 100, only like 8 or 5 projects are actually decent. I couldn't care less about the rest of the market. Torch it all, and it's great that the EU is stepping in, and I hope other countries are following suit.
They're stepping in, and they're stepping up.
They're stepping up. But anyway, with everything, we'll have to see how it plays out. And people are flooding left and right, and they're making these terrible predictions. And it never, ever, that's the only thing I can say about it, never, ever comes out. These people on Twitter are saying those idiots, and then they come up and, oh yeah, that's not the case. Let's make a new narrative. According to some people on Twitter, I was going to be in this medical dictatorship, apparently, which I'm clearly not. You could just be unvaccinated, and now life is, well, everything is up and running again. I'm still alive. I'm still here.
I had 2 vaccinations and a booster. And I'm still alive.
Yeah, I'm still alive as well. It's kind of terrifying if you think about. Let's not go there. But like that's how it always goes. They're making these terrible predictions, and then Bitcoin is always the freaking savior. But Bitcoin is somewhere around 28K or something. Well, it was going to be the inflation hedge.
I am curious.
We had hyperinflation
after the next 2 halvenings. If energy prices keep going up, 2 halvenings from now, was that year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah.
I wonder how many miners there will be left.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting as well. And it was going to be this hyperinflation. I mean, it was going to be the inflation hedge. Now we had our test, huh? We had the inflation. Where's Bitcoin exactly?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
think about that.
Raoul Pell. Raoul Pell saying that some regions are actually going deflationary already.
Okay. Think about that for the next.
Go.
Huh? No, go. Yeah.
Nah.
Inflation, yeah. We're
Narratives.
In the final, we're in the final part. Anyway, think about that for a second, and we'll consume everything we just said, and then we'll talk to you in 2 weeks, I guess. Yeah. I think that there is a lot to talk about still, but I'm looking at the clock, and I think it's been a proper
if you
episode.
are maybe a legal person, if you know something about legislation, crypto regulation, something like that, you want to be on the show and maybe give us some juice about MiCAR and maybe your perspective. Could be cool. Leave a comment, leave a like, and make sure to share this, right? Help us out a bit. I mean, the super amazing algorithm loves it. We love it. And maybe you can help some people get informed on the things that matter. We do our best to keep it as simple as possible, make it as simple as possible, understandable. Let us know how we did. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back. We're going to be very close to the end of H1.
Yeah,
and
it's getting closer and closer, and hopefully we will be able to present you with another O-Fletcher update in 2 weeks' time. Gilbert, please, sir, give us something. We'll see how it
Quant update.
And thanks for listening once again, and Yeah, who knows what happens in the next 2 weeks? It's exciting.
See you in the
We'll
next
see.
one.
See
Stay
you.
Quamfy.
Cheers. Stay comfy.